Welcome back to Dr. Pai's Astrology channel. Today we have back with us Kṣaṇāti from Kṣaṇāti Jyotish, back with her, continuing with our series of Dharma of Nakshatras, continuing with Mula, Purva Ashadha, and Uttara Ashadha. Welcome, Kṣaṇāti. Namaste. Super excited. Everyone's enjoying these series and really make nice comments and really enjoying it. So thank you so much for your time and being here and sharing this with us.
Namaste, Navjeet ji. It's such an honor and pleasure to be here. I've been reflecting on this series, and this might be the most meaningful series I've done my entire life. Because, and not to compare, but the comments and the way people are feeling understood and the way that people are feeling seen. And of course, I appreciate the compliment that some of these insights they've never heard of on the various nakshatra. So just the fact that, Jyotish is called the eyes of the Vedas, which helps bring things that are from darkness into light. And that's why I'm loving this series so much. Just to be able to shed some light on some deep karmic patterns and understanding our dharma through these various nakshatras. And I'm very excited to get into the Sagittarius nakshatras today as we dive through Mula into Uttara Ashadha. Before I start today, I just want to mention I'm also very excited. The Maharishi Parashara Conference is 4 weeks away. It is the world's largest Vedic astrology conference in terms of we have 30 faculty members from 13 different countries, and we have 5 continents represented through faculty. As far as registration for the conference, we have 24 countries represented and 7 all of the continents except for Antarctica. So it is the most internationally well-attended, most diverse Jyotish conference. It's all hosted on Zoom, November 21st to the 25th. Many members of the Pi team will be there. Dr. Arjun Pai, Santip Kanholi ji, Togi ji, Eve won't be there, but many of her students will be there. So it's going to be a very exciting conference. So check it out at parasharaconference.com. This is a very busy time of year for me, preparing to host the conference, as well as preparing my own lecture for this year on K2 and all 27 nakshatra. So I'm looking very excited. I hope you'll check that out. So just a brief plug on the conference this year. So if you like Jyotish, there's no better way to study than through the Parashara conference. So I'm also now going to chant to my guru and also Nav's guru Amritananda Mahima, and then I'll get started. Twameva matacha pita twameva, twameva bandhu cha saka twameva, twameva veja dravinam twameva, twameva sarvam armiteshwarye nama, twameva sarvam armiteshwarye nama, twameva sarvam Matamritananda Mahima Maharani ki Jai. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Namaste, beloved followers and lovers of Jyotish.
Beautiful.
So I'm very excited to get into Mula Nakshatra. It's my ascendant lord. My Shani is placed here. Now, Mula Nakshatra is one of the most misunderstood nakshatra. People consider it a malefic nakshatra, inauspicious nakshatra. It gets a bad rap, but I'm here to tell you today, it actually creates some of the most profoundly valuable characters with the most integrity because the dharma of this nakshatra is so profound. Mula in Sanskrit means root. It takes place from the location in the beginning of Sagittarius Rashi to 13.2 degrees of Sagittarius. Its influencing graha is K2. Its nakshatra devata is Nariti. and it's considered a butcher caste nakshatra. Now, I really want to help understand the dharma of this nakshatra first with the term root. So, what is root? Root is the meaning of things. Root is exactly how things should and are supposed to be. See, the root to me, what Mula Nakshatra Dharma is all about, is that you are able to get to the root of what life is about. You're able to get to the root of what really matters in life. And let me tell you, in my experience doing Jyotish and understanding and working with so many clients over so many years, this is the most challenging question to answer. Why am I here? What is the purpose of life? Why did God give humans life? Why is there war? Why is there death? Why is there disease? Why is there people who disagree? Why doesn't everyone love each other? Some of these questions, they don't really have an answer. Although we can try to find the answer through our prioritization in life. The Dharma of Mula Nakshatra is that you have the right priorities. It's really that simple. The question that the Mula Nakshatra natives should ask themselves in the evolutionary journey of their Dharma is, what are your priorities? What do you think the meaning of life is? Let's go to the goddess Nriti, the goddess of death, disease, and destruction, to help understand this a little better. Now, why is Nriti connected to this energy, which is the root, which helps people find their priorities? Because the only way to have the proper priorities in life is to have a healthy relationship with the concept of death, with the concept of morbidity, with the concept of disease. You see, in ancient times, human beings were less separated from the concept of death. We were more integrated into our daily life to understand that death is just a normal part of life. But now, when someone gets close to the death, we put them in a hospital, and as soon as they die, we throw them in a coffin or cremation, and we try to have ceremony. But it's not this experience of welcoming it, of ushering it in as this thing that's truly beautiful, as this thing that's truly wonderful. See, I always say this for the individual with death. Death is only hard for the people that are still alive. For the actual soul which has ascended to Svarga, the celestial dimension, and has rejoined the Paramatman, I don't think there is no greater bliss, or there is no greater nirvana, there is no greater ecstasy than reunion with God. So this concept of death as something beautiful is something that we've lost sight of, but it is the Dharma of Mula Nakshatra to have this proper relationship with it. See, Ketu is the influencing graha on this nakshatra, which means it's a moksha influencing nakshatra. It helps us bring us closer to God awareness, to God consciousness, to moksha experience. But how does it do this? Through the concept of loss and death. And I will tell you that Mula Nakshatra is a loss and death nakshatra. I have Mula Nakshatra in the house of siblings. My brother died from a heroin overdose. Yes, and I'm sure when I share this, many of you are like, that's so sad for Kṣaṇāti. And it is. But my brother's soul has reunion with God, and he was suffering here in his human condition. Now he's no longer a drug addict, and he gets to be with God and be in bliss. So yes, while it's hard for my family in the mourning of it, it's not necessarily hard for his soul, which has reunion with God. So how does this energy of having to go through death, maybe parents have gotten divorced, maybe you've lost an important member of your family, maybe you've been divorced, maybe your husband or wife died, maybe you've gone through health issues. And actually health issues are a big energy with Mula Nakshatra because of Nriti, the goddess of disease. See, Nriti carries a neem leaf with her. So why would Nriti carry a neem leaf if she's diseased? Well, because guess how you get rid of disease? By name. See, no one just has disease for just some random reason. Disease is karmic. And I'm sorry if you have disease. I'm not saying you did anything wrong to deserve the disease. Please don't understand that I say that. But within every disease, there is lesson. And see, once we learn the lesson that is associated with the disease within our body, then Nariti, who is seen as this incarnation or manifestation of Kali, actually comes in with the neem leaf and she blows the disease away. So if you have cancer and you learn the lesson of what truly that cancer is trying to teach you, then Nariti will come in and she will take the cancer away. See, this is the beauty of Mula Nakshatra. Yes, it learns lessons in the hardest, most challenging of ways through death and disease and these difficult things. But when we learn this lesson, then we get to experience the true meaning of life. See, because it's the human experience and it's the A Dharma of Mula Nakshatra to have poor priorities, to care about materialism, to care about job, to care about how attractive you are and how beautiful you are, and to care about, how popular you are and what other people think of you. I mean, it's okay if you're a human being and you have these experiences because it's part of being a human to have them. But that is not the Dharma of Mula Nakshatra. The Dharma of Mula Nakshatra is to say, none of that shit matters. What actually matters is how valuable you are living life on the daily basis. People always say YOLO. You only live once, right? Well, first of all, we know from the concept of reincarnation that's not true. But the meaning behind it is true. See, people take that term YOLO and they say, well, you only live once. So does that mean that we should live our life recklessly and do drugs and do alcohol and do sex and do partying and do money and do power and do all of these things because, well, you might as well live to the fullest? And no, that is a dharma. No, the true is that you only live life once and you want to live a good life. You want to live a proper life with a moral and ethical impact on the world, and you want to reach your own moral and ethical potential. See, Mula Nakshatra Dharma is a moral and ethical potential nakshatra to be the best person you can be and be the best life you can be in terms of how you are treating others. And guess what? The only way to truly learn this lesson is to go through suffering, right? If you have health challenges and you have, you're like me and you lost an important family member, or you have cancer and you've had to go through cancer, guess what? You're not going to be living life the same way. You're actually going to say, you know what? I, I'll open up a little bit and I'll try not to cry. When my brother was going through his intense drug addictions, I didn't like to spend too much time with him because it was hard to see him on so many drugs. And it was a few weeks before he passed away. And he said, let's get together for dinner. And I was with my second wife at the time. We were just dating. And, I, knew that he was on drugs. So I said, no, I'm just going to stay home. And guess what? He passed away 2 weeks later. What I would give to have that meal with him again. I would give anything in the world. I'd give a year of my life. I'd give 5 years of my life just to have one more dinner with my little brother. But you know what? Mula taught me this lesson. Nariti taught me this lesson. Guess what? Now when it comes to time with my grandmother, time with my sister, time with my other little brother, time with my mother, I do not give them away. I show up for them. I am present with them. I am in a healthy state so I can be there for them. So yes, that was one of the most painful lessons, but it gave me the proper value of life, which is yes, YOLO, you only live once, which means don't create karma. That is the Dharma of Mula Nakshatra. You only live once, and the road to righteousness is narrow, so you better live a righteous life because you only get one opportunity to live a good life before all your karma is assimilated by Lord Yama, and then you'll be dealt your next hand in your next life. So that is the real Dharma of Mula Nakshatra, is the proper prioritization of things that truly matter, which is our family, which is our relationship with God, which is our health, which is our ability to be kind to others, to be service oriented, to help another person who has a worse condition in their lives than us. It's not just about our happiness and our pleasure and our success. No, how do we show up for others? That's what truly matters in life. That is the Dharma of Mula Nakshatra. And yes, this was a very personal one to me, as my dasha of Saturn just transited through this nakshatra, and now I'm in Mercury, but it was very difficult dasha for me. So hopefully that was helpful for the Dharma of Mula Nakshatra.
Thank you. Thank you, Kṣaṇāti, and thank you for sharing your experience and what you've been through. So it's really beautiful and really vulnerable. Thank you.
Thank you, Navjeet. I think it's important because sometimes people put Vedic astrologers on a pedestal, and listen, I'm just a regular dude. And this helps me show you that yes, the karmas affect me too. Just because it's my dharma to be an astrologer doesn't change any of these karmas from affecting me in a tragic way.
Yeah.
So next will be the Purva Ashadha nakshatra, which is in the heart of Sagittarius Rashi from 13.2 degree to 26.4 degree. This influencing graha is Venus. Uh, it is Varuna, Devata, the god of the ocean. And also, the symbol is a fan. Now, how do we, and this is actually a Brahmin nakshatra. So, how do we understand the energy of Purva Ashadha nakshatra? See, Purva Ashadha means the early conqueror. It means the one who is quick to defeat something, to quick to conquer something, to quick to destroy something, the early conqueror. And see, if you go into the energy of Varuna Devata, there is a very, very strong primary energy of what is it is to seek satya, what is it is to seek truth. See, these Dharma of Purva Ashadha nakshatra is the freedom fighter, is the spiritual warrior, is to understand. So what is the symbol of the fan? The fan is the waving of the air that is hot out of the way so that you can feel a sense of relief. This is the purification. Like on a hot day in the middle of the summer, even if you don't have a fan, you have a piece of paper, or you have a book, or even sometimes we use our hands to get that hot air out of our face. See, there's many different symbolisms to understand this energy of the fan. One is that the Dharma of Purva Ashadha nakshatra is to disperse anything which is impure. It's the act of purification so that we can feel a sense of relief. So that is where the freedom fighter energy comes from with Purva Ashadha, which is the Dharma to fight for what's right. The Dharma to fight for justice, to be a warrior. And so it can create some challenges for the Purva Ashadha native, who is quick to be stubborn, who is quick to be anger, who is quick to be frustrated, who is quick to be judgmental. Yes, you might say, well, that's not Purva, that's a Dharma of Purva Ashadha. But when you have the lessons of having to fight for what's right, needing to stand up for injustice, then that is why it creates this energy, because you have fire inside of you that you need to fight for what's right. This is a righteousness nakshatra. That is where the priestly energy comes from, is fighting for God's cause. See, that is the true Dharma of Purva Ashadha Nakshatra, is to fight for the divine cause, is to fight for God's truth, is to fight for Satya. You know? And sometimes it says that because of this energy is associated with fighting the divine cause or fighting God's cause, that's why it's unconquerable or invincible or undefeatable, which is what Purvashada can sometimes translate to. But there's so many lessons for the Purvashada native to learn here. See, because there's so many causes in the universe that are worth fighting for, right? There's racial injustice. There's gender injustice. There is socioeconomic injustice. There are financial and economic injustices. You know, there's all sorts of things that are the way they are in this world, and they should not be that way. But guess what? They are. And just because you think it shouldn't be that way doesn't actually change it. It's a tough pill to swallow. You know what I'm saying? Oh, there's slavery in other parts of the world right now. Not in Canada, not in America. But if you go to Africa, slavery still exists. So just because, it's not in front of our eyes doesn't mean those injustices don't exist. My whole point in understanding this is that the real dharma of Purvashada Nakshatra is to put that freedom fighter, justice, truth-oriented energy to actually fighting for a cause that you can do something about. Listen, I'll get a little bit, say something slightly controversial here, okay? I'm in a mood today. I'm sure you can tell. So here's what people like to protest, right? I don't care. I'm not saying whatever side you're protesting. I'm talking about the concept of protesting. Do you know how often protesting actually makes a difference? Almost never. Yes, it's freedom of speech. Yes, the concept of what you're trying to fight for and standing up for it is great, but maybe sometimes you're only doing it because you like to hear yourself talk. Because the truth is that protesting, when you can't actually make a difference with what the thing it is that you're protesting, listen, protesting, go back into history. We protested the Vietnam War here in America. Guess what? The Vietnam War still happened. Here in America, we protested the Iraqi War, the Afghanistan War. Guess what? Both of those wars still happened. It doesn't mean that the cause isn't righteous, but my whole point about protesting is that it doesn't always accomplish any goal. See, because that is what the Dharma of Purvashada Nakshatra is, to find and use your intelligence to fight the battles that you can win. See, this is a legal nakshatra. This is actually one of the primary nakshatras I look to see judges and lawyers and things like this. Why? Because guess what? You might want to make a change in the legal system, but unless you're a lawyer or judge, guess what? You're not going to be able to. So you go to the proper education. Actually, Purvashada is a higher education nakshatra as well. The priest, which is the most divine form of education. To understand the cause that you're fighting for and to educate yourself properly of that cause, not just wave a sign in the air. So to understand this is to say, okay, I want to fight for racial equality, so I'm going to go to law school and understand how to support impoverished communities that are neglected because of their race, and I'm going to be a social defender for that community. That's understanding the cause properly and then understanding how to fight for it. So again, the real dharma of this nakshatra is the purification of immorality, the purification of non-truth, getting rid of falseness within the world. Yes, fighting for it, fighting for it. But they have to understand that if the fight or the cause that they're fighting, if they can't win that fight, then that energy, and this is a strong energy nakshatra, then that energy that they're putting to that fight that they can't win, it might be better spent going towards a proper cause that they can make a difference in, that they can actually win. And the last thing I'll say about Purva Ashadha nakshatra is it's called the early conqueror, which is the first mountain. But guess what? When you climb a mountain or you climb a mountain, it's one thing to say, oh my gosh, I'm at this top of this first mountain and I'm just going to stay here, which is actually making some kind of great difference or reaching some point of success or reaching some point of fame. But whatever mountain you're at the peak of, usually there's another mountain which is even taller behind it. So that's Purva Ashadha, which is just because you get to the peak of the first mountain, that doesn't mean rest on your laurels or develop complacency. Complacency is a dharma of Purva Ashadha. No, strive to the next peak of the highest mountain. What is the next fight that you can do? What is the next battle that you can win? What is the next thing that you can conquer as a Purva Ashadha native so that you can continue to take that unconquerable spirit of Purva Ashadha and actually make a profound difference in the world and people's lives. So this is just a little elaboration on the Dharma of Purva Ashadha nakshatra. And I apologize for my rant.
Thank you, Kṣaṇāti. That was really passionate explanation on Purva Ashadha. Thank you.
Of course, of course. So Uttara Ashadha nakshatra is a cusp nakshatra. So this means this nakshatra, it starts at 26.4 degrees of Sagittarius and goes into Capricorn. See, the Capricorn vibration in the Uttara Ashadha nakshatra is very interesting because it takes that previous energy of fighting for something and creates stability and maturity in the Uttara Ashadha native, which is the perfection of the thing that you're conquering, the perfection of the thing that you're fighting, which is the final destination. I call Uttara Ashadha nakshatra the final destination. So the influencing graha is Surya. The symbol is like a tusk, and the nakshatra devata is the Vishvadeva. See, understand now, this is actually a warrior nakshatra. See, the dharma of Uttara Ashadha nakshatra is very strongly to understand what am I trying to accomplish and actually accomplishing this thing within your life. See, Capricorn, the energy of Capricorn integrates itself into Uttara Ashadha. And with the Vishvadeva energy, it wants to create this sense of being this higher vibrational energy, but it creating stability and security. For example, see, this is about conquering your imbalances, conquering your challenges, becoming the best version of yourself, which is really about spiritual elevation. But when that spiritual elevation, it will push you to high positions in your life. See, the dharma of Uttara Ashadha nakshatra is that whatever kind of defects we have, see, we all have character imperfections, right? Some of us have a tendency to be more selfish. Some of us have a tendency to be impulsive. Some of us have a tendency to be critical or judgmental. The dharma of Uttara Ashadha nakshatra is to conquer. What are you conquering? It's the perfection. It's the ultimate conquering. Yes, nobody is perfect, but striving for perfection, that is Uttara nakshatra dharma. So it's understanding what your weaknesses or vulnerabilities are so that you can put energy towards conquering them. Yes, you may be selfish, So understanding that it's also Uttara Ashadha Dharma is not being afraid to look at yourself in the mirror and say, listen, I know I don't love this thing about myself, but I'm going to do something about it. Because one of the things that's difficult about the human condition is when it comes to our weaknesses or our imperfections, we really don't like to look in the mirror. We'd rather point our finger and look at someone else's problems and say, well, at least I'm not that way, and point our problems at somewhere else, which takes the light off of us. But there's no growth in that. And so the real beauty of Uttara Ashadha Nakshatra is this aspect of upachaya, which is this concept of growing over time and being the best version of yourself by conquering your weaknesses, by conquering your defects of your character. So that would mean that if you're selfish, you understand this, you admit to yourself, you say, yes, I have a selfish disposition, so I'm going to really go out of my way to help other people. Yes, I am impulsive, so I'm going to really go out of my way to fight against that impulsivity by saying I will not drink alcohol, I will not gamble, I will not have sex before marriage. I mean, it's these really tough commitments that you make within yourself to be the best version of yourself in Uttara Ashadha that really allows for this maximum potential evolution. And so it is this strength, right? It's this strength, it is this resilience. And so the Uttara Ashadha Dharma, once they kind of embody these virtues, I mean, this is a virtuous nakshatra. It's striving to be virtuous within yourself. Well, once you achieve those virtues within yourself as an Uttara Ashadha native, then other people will look to you. They'll say, wow, you really worked on yourself. How can you help me work on myself too? And see, when you're the best version of yourself, what's very interesting about that, when you work on your kind of imperfections and your challenges and your weaknesses and your vulnerabilities and you're transparent and you look at yourself in the mirror, things work out for you in the material world. And that's actually why Uttara Ashadha is a materially successful nakshatra. See, this is actually a wealth nakshatra. There's strong indications of success in career, success in whatever path you choose, because it's the full potential of that thing. And when you're the best version of yourself, whichever path you choose, that's going to be successful. Like there are certain people that just have this quality within them where they're trying to be like, these really good, better versions of themselves. And often it will be said about these people, well, no matter what you choose to do in your life, you will be successful. See, a lot of people come to me for a career reading and they're like, listen, like, what should I be doing in my career? And yes, we can look at, 10th house and D10 and D2 and D6 and all sorts of things to really get specific about what would the ideal career be for the individual. But guess what? If you have a prominent Uttara Ashadha position, you can do whatever you want. It's not about having a specific career. It's about being a better version of yourself, not being selfish, not being impulsive, being kind to others, being a humanitarian. I mean, this is a strong humanitarian nakshatra. People say altruism doesn't exist, that true selflessness doesn't exist. Well, Uttara Ashadhas, they are so humanitarian. They want to give back and they want to make a world a better place because they want to shine the light on their imperfections, which helps other people want to shine a light on their imperfections so we can all be on the winning side of life. So we can all, they say stick with the winners too. This is actually a strong Dharmic vibration with Uttara Ashadha, which says, listen, if you're working on yourself as an individual, you really only want to spend time with also other people that are working on themselves. Because very often people with the dark energy that aren't working on the things that you're working on will bring you down before you can bring them up. And that's difficult lesson for Uttara Ashadha because they actually want to help the individuals that are struggling. But it takes two to tango. And if that individual who's struggling doesn't want to do the work, then guess what? They're going to bring you down. That's why they say in sobriety, if you're going to be sober, you want to spend time with other people that are sober. Because guess what? The drunk person is way more likely to get you drunk than you are going to be able to get the person who's drunk to stop drinking. Because guess what? They need to want to stop drinking. They need to be willing to do the work. They need to surrender to God. Stop trying to control everything through the alcohol. So the deep, deep lesson here is this very strong energy of, am I working on myself? And that will pay off dividends because when you work on your imperfections and your vulnerabilities and your challenges, it will pay off in the material world for the Uttara Ashadha native. It can pay off in the romantic. It can pay off in the spiritual. It can pay off in any realm. And again, I'd like to say, to summarize the Dharma of Uttara Ashadha, whatever they put their minds to, they can be successful in the life, but they have to be willing to do the work within themselves, which has to be with looking at the mirror to strive to be the best version of yourself. So again, I really enjoyed today. Like I've been saying, this is my favorite series that I've done in a very long time, and I hope this elaboration on Mula, Purva Ashadha, and Uttara Ashadha has been beneficial for the community. Thank you, Nav.
Kṣaṇāti, really agree with the darkness part of the mention that you mentioned that if you have good energy and you're trying to help someone, their darkness can bring us down if we're not careful and not in that codependent connection as well. So maintaining the boundaries and maintaining really our own energies, which becomes a little bit difficult when you're trying to help someone who's really in that energy. So thank you for putting that part in there. Very wonderful.
Thank you, Navjeet. Yeah,
Yeah.
I often think of it this way, like you can want to someone else who is thirsty and you want to give them water, but your cup isn't full. So how can you give water from your cup? Then you'll be thirsty and then you won't be able to have enough strength to give them water. So it's really
Absolutely.
finding that strength within yourself, doing the work within yourself, and leading by example. Uttara Ashadha is a lead by example nakshatra.
Thank you. Thank you, Kṣaṇāti. I hope you guys all enjoyed the session today, and we'll be back with our next, which is going into, like, is it Capricorn, right? We're going into Capricorn, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll do Shravana, Dhanishta, and Satabhishak nakshatra next.
Looking forward to that. Thank you, Kṣaṇāti. Namaste.
Namaste.